according to Calcio Camato, I think, Calcio Mercato Web, Inter Milan don't want to sell their assets this summer, but Liverpool are, in quotation marks, want to snatch Nicolo Barella away from them, someone we have been linked with a lot. However, Inter Milan value him at 90 million euros, something Liverpool are not willing to do. So what they have mentioned, or what another source have mentioned, Inter Live said that Liverpool would be willing to include Naby Keita in a swap deal plus money. I don't know if that's Naby Keita on a brand new contract or Naby Keita on a 1-year contract. I think that makes a lot of difference. But Jack, Barella would be a perfect Jurgen Klopp midfielder, wouldn't he?
He'd be a top-class signing. I think he'd be brilliant. In terms of how he'd compare to Keita right now, I'm unsure. He's 25, Barella is. He's slightly younger than Keita. And he has, I think, a higher ceiling, less injury, the physicality. So that kind of swap, it's not ideal to lose Keita to bring in Barella. I think Barella is an improved option, but it doesn't really help with the rotation. It helps our top end by getting a really creative passer who could play that right central midfield spot. And Conte played him as the base of a midfield three when he had his 3-5-2 that he won the Serie A with when he was there. So he's capable of kind of also being a more progressive defensive midfielder. It'd be a really good signing, but I would love for it to be without giving up Keita. I know that's probably an ideal world. I just don't see it happening, to be honest. He just seems like a guy who's comfortable in Milan, and it feels like we're not going to rock the boat enough to sign him. And that's as simple as that. So I don't know. I think if it happens, I'll be brilliantly happy, but I'll also be very surprised if it gets anywhere close to that.
I mean, Tino, it's 90 million's a lot of money, isn't it, at the end of the day? And we definitely won't be paying that much for him. But, if Naby Keita signs a new contract and we were to swap him and maybe, 60 million, 50 million euros, I think that would be a good deal for a position we definitely need.
Yeah, 100% with you. I don't think 90 million, even if we do a swap deal with Naby Keita, I don't see Inter going for that. As much as I love Nicolo Barella, and I know we've spoken about him quite a lot on this show previously, 4 goals, 13 assists, his pressing stats are phenomenal. He's really fit well into our midfield. It's such an unrealistic signing from and the stories from such an unreliable source as well. The swap deal for Naby Keita is I don't see it happening. As much as I'm not a huge fan of Naby Keita, I have to admit I'm not a huge fan. I don't think he's done enough or showed enough in his time at Liverpool to really grab my attention and think, wow, this guy's good. He's had little bursts here and there, but I really don't see us doing a swap deal at all. As much as I'd love it, and as much as I really, really do want Nicolo Barella in a Liverpool shirt, I really don't see it happening. He's a phenomenal player, and certainly our midfield, everybody's talked about it a hell of a lot. We really, really do need to strengthen our midfield, but I don't think doing a 1-to-1 swap would be the right move. I think if you bring in someone of Nicolo Barella's quality and you bring him in and don't do a swap deal, you don't get rid of Naby Keita or Ox or whoever it is. I think you have to bring him in just with playing cash, because you don't really improve. You're not going anywhere if you're doing a swap deal or adding a player to that. If you kind of get what I'm saying. I do love him as a player, Nicolo Barella. I think he's phenomenal, incredibly consistent, unbelievably talented on the ball. And like I say, his pressing stats are second to none in the Serie A. So he'd certainly fit well into the way we play and the manner in which we play. I just don't see it happening. Honestly, I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, he is, he's been class for Inter Milan. I do want to bring up something though. Somebody said, where's it bear with me? Not many success stories in the Premier League with Italian players. It seems like unless I'm missing somebody glaringly obvious, I feel like the Italian league it's so different from the Premier League, like the most different league. Players don't really come over here and perform like they did in a much slower league. They have so much time on the ball, where in the Premier League you don't have any time on the ball. You might have a second if that. But saying that, we've missed out on Aurelian Tchouameni. It doesn't look like we're getting Jude Bellingham this summer, and next summer we're going to be in a race with a lot of clubs for everyone for Jude Bellingham's signature. He is not a bad alternative if we do miss out on Jude Bellingham, is he?
I said in my summer video, mate, I wanted Bellingham or Barella, one or the other. And whichever one we didn't get this year, I wanted the other one next year. I don't think there's any legs to the rumour at all. But if there was, I'd give Naby Keita a piggyback to Inter Milan. If it was to swap Barella, I'd find and carry him there. Barella is class, mate. Absolutely class. I'm not asked what other Italian players have or haven't done at us. Barella's a top quality player. He's that good that I reckon he could win you the league. Midfield of him for being old Thiago, that's a serious midfield. So I'd love him, mate, but I just don't think the room has got any legs, to be honest. But it makes me wonder who we will be looking at, because we've missed you many. And the reports now are saying something like Liverpool are going to be reluctant to pay the demands of Bellingham next season. So that makes me think, well, what's left? If they were your priorities and you can't get either one, well, what are you waiting for? Now you're saying you don't want to stopgap, but your two main targets are probably not going to come, so you need a plan B. And Barella to tick every box for me, mate.
We also had that tweet today that referenced that Trent has 3 years left in his contract, and he's one of the top 4 earners. I have it up right here. I should look at it. He's the 4th highest earner, just behind Van Dijk, Thiago, and Salah. And he's the only guy in the top 10 who's under the age of 25.
That is a brand new contract, though. He got that last summer.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that, but the issue then rises is, so he's going to be 25, 26 when he's getting a new contract. He's still in line for 2 more contracts, basically. Versus a guy like Bellingham, he could have multiple contracts in him. I think Barella makes a lot more sense than Bellingham in certain regards, because he's got that defensive attributes that you want from a club midfielder. But something that I've struggled with is you have he needs to defend, they need to cover for the fullbacks who are the creative outlets. Sure, that's true, but the midfielders are allowed to touch the ball too. They're allowed to play passes. And for a guy like Nicolo Barella, he will do the dirty work. He will cover defensively. He'll track defenders and track runs from deep really, really well, and also be a really nice threat on the ball in terms of creativity, passing, and carrying with the ball. So I think the next progression this side is a midfielder who doesn't drastically change the way we play, but also has a different element to his game. He had 11 assists last year for Inter. He's a really brilliantly creative player who could really change the way we play. Now, 90 million is quite pricey, but that is the going rate for guys like him who have such a varied arsenal of skills.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the midfielders in the world, a right-sided midfielder, and I feel like so many clubs need a world-class one, and there's not many world-class one going round. I mean, I remember when the Aurelian Tchouameni story, we got linked with him for 40 million euros, and because Real Madrid missed out on Mbappe, and the fact that Mbappe is now their sporting director and owner and manager, that price went up to 100 million within literally the space of 2 weeks. So you look at Jude Bellingham now, 80 million pounds this summer, guarantee you that'll get up to 150 million pounds next summer, or pushed over 120 minimum. So, and I think you do look at Barella, and there's not many. He seems happy at Inter at the moment, and I don't think there's many clubs willing to maybe take a risk on him. It would be a safer option. I understand where everyone's coming from, and he is an amazing player, no doubt about it. But I think you go after Jude this summer. I've been saying it forever. You literally give Dortmund what they want. I don't care if he wants 300 grand a week. You get him down to 250 and say, okay, thank you, Jude. That's it. But it's the midfield is such a horrible situation, and that we've only got ourselves to blame for that, for giving Jordan Henderson a 3-year extension when he's rubbish and all the other crap we've got in midfield. So it is sad times. And we're not selling Ox, and given as much as I love James Milner, like, if he's even a fourth choice midfielder this summer, fifth choice, I'm going to flip, because giving him an extension when we need a midfielder, it is hard. But
look, yeah, our midfielders won't. Well, here's the thing, right? Is we contended for 4 titles last year with these midfielders, with this system. So it's not like it's impossible, but we also didn't win the title because when Thiago wasn't available, we struggled to draws. We can compete for titles, and we could definitely win titles next year with this midfield. But it's so infuriating that we put ourselves from a position where we can compete, and we're just there to signing Barella, and that pushes you over, gets you over that hump. Signing Bellingham gets you over that hill and pushes you forward. So for me, like, we've just been comfortable going one signing short, and
for years,
for years, and like, you just think about what a midfielder would have done last summer, what a center back would have done 2 years ago, and the knock-on effect it would have. The squad, I think, a reckoning is coming when you have a squad that's aging. People talk about the squad aging. If we don't sign anybody next summer, is going to be an overhaul is required. You have Thiago, Fabinho, Robertson, Salah, Firmino, all his core players who are all going to be nearing, the end almost. And I agree with Joker. I'm not like FSG out, but they do expect Klopp to pull a lot of miracles, a lot of cats out of bags, because he did brilliant things with our signings that not many managers could do. So I don't know. I just think we won something, and I'm confident for trophies. Right now, I'm skeptical.
I've said that all along. The amount of times we've been one player short. I'm not saying we would have won the quadruple next season, but it elevates our chances. We all knew we needed a midfielder, and we're now going in. We knew that last summer, and now we're going into this summer with not even signing a new midfielder. Keeping Oxlade-Chamberlain, keeping James Milner. We've just signed a new contract with Henderson, and of course we love these players, but there's no room for sentimentality in football, and that can hurt you in the long run. And as Jack said there, I'm honestly worried if we go into next season, at the end of next season, and all these players haven't agreed contracts. You've got, as much as I don't rate him, you've got Ox, you've got Keita, you've got Salah, you've got Firmino, all leaving. Jordan Henderson will be in his last year. James Milner's gone. There's 5 players who are definitely gone, and they all need replacing. And it feels very irresponsible to put Julian Ward, someone who is brand new in the job. As much as Michael Edwards rates him, it feels very irresponsible to be just doing it all in one summer and hoping Klopp works miracles. But that is a topic for another day, because I'm sure we all feel very strongly about that.